Lon's live.
Lon's live, he got rid of his hiccups.
I have legitimate hiccups.
I say they're
They're
phony.
very loud. Uh, as a matter of fact, you could break a wine glass
He's
with
lying, but they are very loud.
with my hiccups. And Constance thinks that I do it on purpose.
They're inhuman.
Because that'll be on my epitaph. He of the inhuman hiccups. Anyway, it's Sunday school with Pastor Lon and Miss Constance.
Oh, God.
I wanted to do it from the bed this morning because it's nice and cozy and warmer. But Miss Constance,
Says it's inappropriate for Sunday school and an invasion of my privacy.
I'm sure all that's true, but it was still a good idea. But here we are, and we're going to talk about all language is symbolic language, or it's no language at all. And in keeping with the theme of the last few morning talks, we're drawing our inspiration from at least half of it from Crowley's Magic Without Tears.
All of it.
Huh?
I thought all of it. It's chapter 3 of Magic
It's
Without
chapter 3 of Magic Without Tears. It's called Hieroglyphics, language, life and language, necessarily symbolic. Now, like every microsecond to microsecond at the DuQuette house, it is nonstop, wall-to-wall synchronicities. And I've been working on the text of a new book, thinking about the necessity or the futility of language and symbolic language, and why we use the things like the Kabbalah and imagery of the tarot in order not so much to speak to each other, but just as an attempt to speak to ourselves. And Constance is reading Magic Without Tears to a friend of ours.
But this paragraph, yeah, in particular, I said, I think I wrote this one because I'm always whining about this, because often, and you know how crazy I talk, but to me it seems quite normal. To Lon, it doesn't even seem quite normal, but to me it seems quite normal. I know that when I talk to people, sometimes they look like a deer in the headlights, because what definitely means something to me does not mean the same thing to them. It's a wonder. That's why I said it's easier to talk to a possum or a plant, because I talk like cuttlefish to them. They just don't hide anything. If we all just spoke like cuttlefish, there'd be world peace. But okay, there we go.
So Miss Cuttlefish here and I will tackle this chapter 3. It's really short. It's Sunday school. It's a beautiful day. Everybody wants to kick off their shoes and go barefoot down to the creek.
Are you kidding? It's before Thanksgiving. It's cold. Maybe you're right.
Go fishing. Okay, well, anyway, it's chapter 3, Hieroglyphics, life and language necessarily symbolic. It starts off.
Well, begin every chapter in this book is Crowley, in his later years, answering letters to his students, and they're all women, I guess, most of them.
I think they're all, yeah.
I wonder who they were. But they're all women.
Margaret Thatcher.
No, come on. There was no young. Her mother, maybe.
Princess Margaret. Okay.
So he starts out.
It starts off.
He's writing.
Are we still on? Yeah. It starts off, Kara Soror. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Very natural, the irritation in your heart. What? No, it's good. No. I was thinking of myself. very natural, the irritation in your last letter. You write,
and I'm going to read her letter. But why? Why all this elaborate symbolism? Why not say straight out what you mean? Surely the subject is difficult enough in any case. Must you put on a mask to make it clear? I know you well enough by now to be sure that you will not fob me off with any holy-willy nonsense about the ineffable, about human language being inadequate to reveal such mysteries, about the necessity of constructing a new language to explain a new system of thought. Of course, I know that this had to be done in the case of chemistry, of higher mathematics, indeed of almost all technical subjects, but I feel that you have some other, deeper explanation in reserve. After all, most of what I am seeking to learn from you has been familiar to many of the great minds of humanity for many centuries. Indeed, the Kabbalah is a special language, and that's old enough. There is not much new material to fit into that structure. But why did they, in the first place, resort to this symbolic jargon?
That's a great question.
He says so.
I'll put it in Crowley's voice.
Oh no, please don't.
No, I won't.
Good. No, I have.
You put it very well.
He didn't talk like that.
No. You put it very well. And when I think it over, I feel far from sure that the explanation which I'm about to inflict upon you will satisfy you, or even whether it will hold water. In the last resort, I have to maintain that we are justified by experience, by the empirical success of communicating thought which has attended and continues to attend our endeavors. But to give a complete answer, I shall have to go back to the beginning and restate the original problem. And I beg that you will not suppose that I'm evading the question or adopting the Irish method of answering it by another, though I know it may sound as if I were. Is that how the Irish do?
Yeah, they answer a question by another question.
By another question?
That's what that sentence means. But I understand language.
Yeah, by another question?
Yes. Yes.
You're not getting the Abbott and Costello here.
It's not that funny,
Okay.
George.
Miss Constance, Pastor Lon.
I'm trying to just not make mistakes in the reading of prose.
Let me set out by restating our original problem. What we want is truth.
In capital T, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead.
We want an even closer approach to reality.
Capital R.
And we want to discover and discuss the proper means of achieving this object. Very good. Let us start by the simplest of all possible inquiries, and the most difficult. What is anything? Unquote. What do we know? And other questions that spring naturally from these. I see a tree. I hear it rustling or creaking in the wind. I touch it, hard. I smell it, acrid. I taste it, bitter. Now all the information given by these five senses has to be put together, although no two agree in any sort of way. The logic by which we build up our complex idea of a tree has more holes than a sponge. But this is to jump far ahead. We must first analyze the single, simple impression, I see a tree. This phenomenon
It never goes away.
is what is called a point event. It is the coming together of the two, the seer and the seen. It is single and simple, yet we cannot conceive of either of them as anything but complex. And the point event tells us nothing whatsoever about either. Both, as Herbert Spencer and God knows how many others have shown, knowable.
Unknowable.
Unknowable. Just checking. It stands by itself, alone and aloof. It has happened. It is undeniably reality. Yet we cannot confirm it, for it can never happen again precisely the same. What is even more bewildering is that since it takes time for the eye to convey an impression to the consciousness, it may alter in 1,000 ways in the process. All that really exists is the memory of the point event, and not the point event itself. What then is this reality of which we are so sure? Obviously, it has not got a name, since it never happened before or can happen again. To discuss it at all, we must invent a name. To discuss it at all, I'm going to repeat that. To discuss it at all, we must invent a name. And this name, like all names, cannot possibly be anything more than a symbol. Even so, as so often pointed out, all we do is to record the behavior of our instruments. Nor are we much better off when we've done it. For our symbol, referring as it does to a phenomenon unique in itself, and not to be apprehended by another, can mean nothing to one's neighbors.
Hence, they stare at you like a deer in the headlights.
Because we don't even see the tree in the same way. So,
yes.
What happens, of course, is that similar, though not identical, point events happen to many of us, and so we are able to construct a symbolic language. My memory of the mysterious reality resembles yours sufficiently to induce us to agree that both belong to the same class.
Barely.
It's a razor's edge
Around here.
around here. But let me furthermore ask you to reflect on the formation of language itself, except in the case of...
Am I supposed to say it?
You were supposed to say the word.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. I can't.
Onomatopoeic.
No,
Yes.
it's
Onomatopoeic.
onomatopoeic. That's as close as I'm getting. It means, he'll explain it.
Well, an onomatopoeic word.
I know what it means when I see it, but I never can say it.
Give us an example of a child and a dog.
It's going to, honey. Okay, well, I said this to I was reading this to someone else. I hadn't read the letter first, and then I told him, it's like when children call dogs bow wows.
We all get it.
Instead of dogs.
It transcends.
Because it's the sound.
It's the sound. Bow wow. That's a bow wow. Okay. I'm a yum yum. Okay. Onomatopoeic words and few others. There is no logical connection between a thing and the sound of our name for it. As Crowley says, stole from Constance here, Bow Wow is a more rational name than dog, which is a merely convention agreed on by the English. And while other nations prefer Shin, Hund, Kane, Kalb, Kuta, and so on. All symbols, you see, my dear, and it's no good you're kicking. But it doesn't stop there. When we try to convey thought by writing, we're bound to sit down solidly and construct a holy Kabbalah out of nothing. Why would a curve open to the right sound like the ocean open at the top, like you? I'm not sure.
I think that is a typo in the book. That should be the letter U when you read the sentence.
Well, it's a typo on both the Kindle and in the printed book, but I think she might be right. You.
It's a curve that opens at the top.
It's a curve that opens at the top.
The word U.
Thank you.
Oh, that's what he just talked
Attention,
about. Okay.
copy editors.
Or maybe it does say U, but he means the U in U.
And all of these arbitrary symbolic letters are combined by just as symbolic and arbitrary devices to take on the conventional meanings. These words again combine into phrases by no less high-handed a procedure. Now, it's so funny that the opening lines of the Sefer Yetzirah is that the big what it is invented everything by numbers, letters, and words. And then, folk wonder, how is it that there should be error and misunderstanding in the transmission of thought from one person to another? Rather, regarded as a miraculous intervention of providence when even one of the simplest ideas gets across. Now then, this being so, it's evidently good sense to construct one's own alphabet within one's own very precise definitions. In order to handle an abstruse, thank you.
I'm sorry, but I'm sitting in a stiff back chair.
She
It's what happens.
Watch out, she's in a stiff back chair. In order to handle an abstruse and technical subject like magic, the quote ordinary unquote words such as God, self, soul, spirit, and the rest have been used so many thousands of times in so many thousand ways, usually by writers who knew not nor cared not for the necessity of definition, that to use them today in any scientific essay is almost ludicrous. That is all. Just now, sister, no more of your cavilling. Please sit down quietly with your 777 and get it by heart. Love is the law, love under will. Fraternally 666.
And as they say, discuss. Winker's going to say discuss.
Okay.
Do it. I can't do it.
Okay. There you go. Discuss. Constance just lives for someone to say, discuss.
Hence, I missed class.
So, discuss, Miss Constance.
Oh, by myself, that's the problem.
You're your best audience.
Well, I'll just start at something I wouldn't talk about before.
Okay.
We goes back, talks about the reality of the point event, because it's not, it's in the past and in the future. It's not. It's in the now, but that means that reality point is not real.
Right.
That it's not the capital reality, because the capital reality it doesn't change. It's the now.
Right.
So the other two ends of it are the part that are not real. So he can just take off that capital letter for that. The point event is real, but when you talk about it, it's already not real.
It's already not real, and by the time you hear yourself talk about it, it's even less real.
And anyway, I'm going to admit in front of a few dozen people at least that
yes, but you've got something insanely cool.
What?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Insanely cool or not. Insane is kind of the word, because Lon used to say anybody who read this was crazy. And so Charlie D, his musical partner, gave me the Course in Miracles like over 10 years ago. I started reading it I've been reading it for like 10 years. I finally made it through the book once, and I've actually got about 300 pages into it again. It's a channeled thing from the 70s. If you're going to get hung up on the Christian I think part about it, they're not Christians. It's just the term. It's
Yeah, if you can get past
it's really just the language part.
Yeah.
And there are a few things in there that I kind of balk at, but who knows? I balk it anyway. But I just find it. It's like as if Jesus were Christ consciousness in a psychology mode is what it is. But they kind of, and they have lessons at the back. But I'm just going to read a few titles of the lessons because it's very. Talking about that nothing when you talk about means anything, or your thoughts don't mean anything. Nothing has any meaning.
It's a perfect discussion of what we just read.
Anyway, it's lesson 1. Nothing, and you're supposed to think about this they have more than a page of explanation here, a page, and you're only supposed to do it for like a couple minutes every day, and then go on to the next one.
Little 1-minute meditations every day.
Every day, like 2-3 times. Anyway, nothing in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place, means anything. You look around, this table doesn't mean anything, chair doesn't mean anything, door doesn't mean anything, body doesn't mean anything, lamp doesn't mean anything, shadow doesn't mean anything. And it's just and you're supposed to have a comfortable sense of leisure when you do this. Lesson number 2, the next day, they have one for every day. I have given everything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place, all the meaning it has for me. That means that's your Kabbalah. Your Kabbalah isn't going to be mine. I've given it meaning. Okay?
You've given it meaning, your own hieroglyphs.
Yeah, and then of course you probably, as he says, you probably screwed up.
Sure.
I do not, and then lesson number 3, I do not understand anything I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place. And it's just to, it's trying to, yes, that's true if you really think about it. Lesson number 4 the next day, these thoughts do not mean anything. They're like the things I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place. This thought about blah, 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 about whatever, maybe your rent or something that's happening in your life, doesn't mean anything. It's like the things I see in this room, on the street, and so on. And it says, don't be stressful. Just don't. Let me do this. Lesson number 5. I'm never upset for the reason I think. I'm not angry for the reason I think. I'm not afraid for the reason I think. And then there are no small upsets. They're all equally disturbing to your peace of mind. So don't think you're going to, and don't leave anything out, by the way, because you'll think this is exempt from these exercises. Nothing is exempt. The only thing is exempt is stress. You don't do it for long and you don't get stressed out of it. And then I cannot keep this form of upset and let others go. For the purposes of these exercises, then I will regard them all as the same. And just do it 3 times a day or so. Then lesson number 6, I'm upset because I see something that's not there. And that's pretty good.
Wow.
And then I'm worried.
Wow.
I'm angry at somebody because I see something that's not there. I'm worried about something because I see something that's not there. You know, when you're worried about something, what you've imagined is going to happen, or what the situation really is. Gratefully, 99% of the time, most of it does not happen that way. When the event or whatever happens. And then there are no small upsets. They're all equally disturbing to your peace of mind. And you can't keep one form of upset and let the others go. For the purpose of the exercises, they're all the same. And then lesson number 7 gets really good. I see only the past.
Yes.
I see only the past in this pencil. I see only the past in this shoe. I see only the past in this cup. I see only the past in that body. I see only the past in that face. And if you can't get into that one...
Yeah, that's the point event. We're just a memory of a point event.
You're just seeing something else. And see, and besides all of this happening psychologically, let's face it, our senses are so crappy and limited that we're not even seeing... we're not seeing anything anyway on the physical part. Okay, then number 8, my mind is occupied with past thoughts. And it goes, there's more than that. But I see nothing as it is now. Anyway, we're getting to the point here. And then my thoughts don't mean anything. Anyway, it keeps going on to more lessons. But the point is, everybody's talking about this subject, and it really is it's important when you try to communicate. And I think Crowley was a little. I always pick on him because he's dead now. I can do what I want. Uh, he said they need this symbolism, and I see lots of magicians and stuff who do exactly to the same thing, to the Kabbalah and the tarot symbols and the words that they learn. You know, the Tree of Life symbol, all those magical, mystical words. I see them do the same thing. They make them meaningless by not thinking about what they're saying when they use them, or they're using them. I think there should be a blend of actually trying to figure out what something means in normal language and in your normal life, along with it should be half and half, along with using your own Kabbalah and symbol language. Otherwise, you're going to be just talking. You can't. When somebody comes into your group, or it's very elitist. You're talking in symbols of Kabbalah and stuff, and maybe they're the one. I have a hard time in the Hebrew stuff. I just kind of shut down. No reason whatsoever. It just doesn't appeal to me much. So I just can't go. I don't object to it, or it just doesn't attract me. I have other things.
Well, it's like you'd be upset with anybody who speaks a language
like
that's
poor
foreign to you, but and they speak it very well, but what they're talking about in that language is bullshit.
Well, no, but
or is meaningless.
What I'm saying is, it's not it's meaningless.
Yeah.
But it's like what immigrants must feel when they can't speak the language, and somebody doesn't try to help them. Instead, they'll just speak English and with their friends and stuff around them, and so
insist on it.
They feel like they're left out. And you feel like you're left out if you want to come into a magical group, and that's all they speak. They don't try to explain anything into.
You're in America, so speak American.
Right. Well, there's that. Yes.
Well, what about the English? We'll let them speak American too. Well, that's it for what?
I thought there was going to be a discussion. What else do you have to say?
Discuss.
I also thought of the Princess Bride.
Yeah.
What does he say?
Inconceivable.
No. What does he say to her? What does Leslie say to her every time?
As you wish.
As you wish. And what does it mean? Oh, come on.
Do what thou wilt.
Oh my God, you forgot the movie. It means I love you.
That means I love you.
So,
which is, I guess, my will. So.
But anyway, I thought of that too as an example of this. My Kabbalah, Leslie's Kabbalah was when he said, "As you wish," meant I love you. And so maybe because this is my last.
Here she goes.
My last thought.
She's winding up.
I'm winding up. My last thought last night as I was walking in the fingernail moonlight in the streetlight, because I like walking in the dark, and we had a rain and windstorm, and the streets were blanketed with leaves from the houses, covered the sidewalks and the streets, and not much traffic had gone out, and not many people were willing to go out in it either. So it was very artistically beautiful and peaceful, and very few people were out. The ones who had dogs who were going to go nuts probably were the ones who were out.
And you were collecting green bamboo.
Well, I always do that in people's trash piles, but that's irrelevant. There was this. I was getting ready to cross a street, and a man was about 25 feet away from me walking a big dog. And people should say hi to each other when they're walking at night, or hello, or good evening, or something, because there's a discomfort for a lot of people walking in the dark, and they're forced to do it by their dogs. I have no discomfort in that. I've been doing that since I was a teenager. So I said, I said good evening, and he was very relieved and said hello and all. Anyway, and went on his way, and we just barely crossed. And as I left him, I had this thought that, wait a minute, I get very excited about walking with the moon, that the moon follows me wherever I go. And I thought, well, the moon was going to follow him wherever he went too, and he was going in a completely different way, different orbit and everything. So I thought that must meant that we were totally connected all the time, because by the moon.
The point of it is wall to wall.
Yes. And so maybe when I said good evening to him, I should have said, because when I went back, I should have said, well, not that I don't want a good evening. I should have said, I love you with my whole heart in my head while I said good evening to him outside. So
Yeah.
maybe we should just do that. Maybe we should all
Maybe we
say,
should all do that.
when
Yeah.
we say good morning or something to somebody, we should be what's his name? Leslie? No. Wesley.
Wesley.
Like Wesley said.
As you
It
wish.
should mean I love you. So I'm telling you good morning, but I really mean
I
I
love
love
you.
you.
And that's Sunday school for today. Have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law. Love under will.